Welcome to Forensic Friday,
where we examine the intersection of true crime, psychology, and the heart of being human in the middle of it all. Well, hello.
Hi.
Oh my goodness, baby Gray is joining us. Hopefully she will
Stay
mind her
asleep.
P's and Q's over there.
Yeah. Took us like an hour to figure that out.
Yeah, it's okay. We just were catching up about life.
Yeah, we're just doing the thing. Oh, I just got your text. Let me see what this is.
She's about to pass out. You can tell she's tired.
I know. She's gonna be one of those fighters where she fights her sleeping.
Oh, I do that as an adult.
I don't. Full send.
I know, I'm really jealous of people. I have the revenge bedtime thing. I think I've maybe always had that.
Let's do this for now.
There you go.
Um,
That
I'm
works.
holding the pacifier in her mouth while holding the mic in the other hand.
You're just killing it.
We're doing the best we can, you
Boss
guys.
babe.
Yeah, we're figuring it out. Okay. We were driving yesterday to Summit and I saw a Amazon truck that was like pulled over and it looked like they were having to fix something. It was
Yeah.
like one of the big ones, like the semi.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I looked at Preston was like saying something, he's a talker.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I wonder how many Amazon trucks get robbed.
Oh, that's an interesting question. I've never heard of it actually happening, like
Me either.
officially. Have you? I mean, they would have to be in a place where people wouldn't see. Like you can't do that on like the interstate, like Fast and the Furious style. That's not a thing.
All right. All right.
You know? I'm gonna Google it.
Do it.
I bet there's something. How many Amazon trucks get robbed per year? Okay, apparently there's been an increase. I don't know from what to what, but looks like there's been an increase. Let's see. Inside Edition. Do we think that that's a good source?
I don't know.
I want statistics. I always want statistics. You know?
Yeah. So it said that it's increased.
That it's increased, but I can't see like how much. Okay, across North America, cargo theft is up 300%, with annual losses now over $20 billion.
Dang.
Oh, and I'm seeing some armed robberies. So you know what? It does happen.
I'm telling you, I had that thought. I was like, I wonder how often that happens.
It does happen. I'm reading an article right now about brazen daylight robbery in Atlanta, where a group of thieves ransacked an Amazon delivery van as the helpless driver just like looked on.
Well, what are you gonna
Absolutely nothing. Are you kidding me? If I worked for Amazon, I'd be like, here you go.
do? Yeah. I
Don't
will
hurt me.
open the door for you.
I'm going to get home earlier. Thank you very much.
Yep, I will open the door for you. You take what you want.
Well,
You
and
can even open the
Amazon,
packages before you take it.
well, yeah, Amazon allegedly, again, I don't work for Amazon, so what do I know? But my understanding is they have to deliver, like, they're not done until they deliver everything, and they're supposed to hit all the things at certain times. So it's actually very stressful, the people doing those deliveries. I saw one pull a NASCAR maneuver in front of my house the other day. He like popped a Yui right in front of my house. I mean, normally he stops at my house, but he popped a
Right.
Yui and he was going to my neighbor's up a really long driveway.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, you can drive that van. That was not his first day.
Yeah, he's like, I got time limits. Well, and it does say sometimes where it's like between 2 and 4, or
Uh-huh. No,
that's
really.
crazy.
I mean, these poor people. Do you
And
think
it's
that?
just, well, I was gonna say it's encouraging our culture too to just have everything at our fingertips.
Well, and I'm kind of wondering how much of that's going to be automated. We're going to have robot everything in 5 to 10 years. So the
Oh yeah, we're gonna
vans
have
and everything,
drones dropping our stuff off.
absolutely, it's terrifying.
I want to move to the mountains.
Well,
You have a fun case for us today. That's a really fun follow-up of our last one.
Yeah, so if you listen to the other Power Ranger case, you got to hear in real time me discovering that Natalie had chosen a completely different Power Ranger case to the
Yep.
one that I thought she would do.
The not so much Power Ranger case.
Yes. And by Power Ranger, we mean uncredited child extra in
Yeah,
one
like
movie.
maybe had one line.
Maybe. I think he just stood there.
Yeah.
I, he was in the background in a restaurant or something.
Oh, it's so funny that I like was like, oh, and I swear on like I think I saw it on TikTok and it said like a Power Ranger whatever actor, in prison for life, and I was like, ooh, and then it's not.
Only you would find just an off-brand Power Ranger case,
I
you know?
know.
But the funny thing is, I was so excited because I thought you were going to get in the nitty-gritty on the case I'm about to present.
Right.
So I was like ready to roll. And then you start off with this elderly couple in their yacht. And I was like, I don't know what you're doing, dude. Like this is not
This
the same
isn't
thing.
it.
This ain't it.
This
Nope.
is not it.
Okay, so we are going to talk about the Red Power Ranger samurai sword killing.
The real Power Ranger.
Yes, and he was the Red Lion Wild Force Power Ranger in Power Rangers Wild Force,
Okay.
and he played Decker in Power Rangers Samurai, which is
Okay.
ironic. After his Power Rangers fame, Ricardo Medina Jr. had a bunch of challenges when he was transitioning out of the spotlight.
Okay.
Yep. So I don't have a
And he was the red Power Ranger.
He was a Red Power Ranger in the Red Lion Wild Force Power Ranger series, like in 2002. He was not the original OG Red Power Ranger, though, like when we were kids.
Okay.
Yes. The setting of this case, I tried to get some background. There's not a ton of background. All we really know is that he was a child actor, kind of a child star actor, but not like an A-list child star actor.
Okay.
And then basically where it picks up is he's living with a roommate in Green Valley, California. So his roommate's name is Josh Sutter.
Okay.
So apparently, and this is based on information from a couple of different sources and a few people who were pretty close to it, including Josh Sutter's sister. She had a few things to say that I'm going to share later. And then also Medina's girlfriend at the time had information about the case too. So there are two main contributors in terms of perspective on what was going on. So on January 31st, 2015,
Hmm.
a 911 call goes out from Ricardo Medina Jr.,
Okay.
and he's reporting a stabbing. He identified himself and his roommate, Sutter.
So he did, when you say he identified himself, he
He
like said
said,
he did it?
yeah.
Okay.
He said, I'm Ricardo Medina Jr. And then he described that there had been a stabbing.
Okay.
He identified Sutter, the roommate who had been stabbed. He admitted to being the one that inflicted the injury, but claimed he acted in self-defense
Hmm.
after Sutter was trying to force his way into his room.
Oh.
Hmm. And then I didn't have an exact transcript because it's not available, but there was mention of a sword and that Sutter had left the room.
Hmm.
Yes.
So he stabbed him with a sword.
Stabbed him with a samurai sword that was in his room.
Okay.
Which again, the gig when he was a Power Ranger in 2011, 2012, he was Decker in Power Rangers Samurai.
Oh my gosh.
Part of me just wonders, like, was he still cashing in on this whole samurai thing? Like, he's got the sword in his room and whatever. I don't know. It's
Right.
very weird. The whole thing is a little bit weird.
Is that why he had a samurai sword? It's because of the show?
I'm totally guessing. That is allegedly.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm just kind of chuckling to myself, like, yeah, I'll bet he had a samurai sword hanging over his bed.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
claim to fame,
That feels like normal.
he's the Red Power Ranger samurai guy.
Yeah.
So,
I would probably have a samurai sword.
exactly. I mean, why not?
Why not?
You know? So, talking about what kind of led up to this, basically, there was a kind of ongoing dispute between Medina and his roommate. And the crux of it was that Josh Sutter, the roommate, had an issue with how Medina treated his girlfriend.
Okay.
Sutter thought that Medina was controlling and verbally abusive to the girlfriend, didn't like how he was treating his girlfriend, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And apparently it was a source of tension between them. So on the day that this happened, there was a heated argument in the kitchen between Medina and Sutter. Medina's version of events is that Sutter became physically aggressive and tried to force his way into Medina's bedroom
Okay.
despite being asked to leave, and that Medina's girlfriend was in there with him and they were afraid. And Medina acted in self defense. So Medina said he felt threatened by the forced entry, quote unquote, forced entry, and
Okay.
grabbed a samurai sword that he kept in his bedroom in self defense.
Interesting.
Mm hmm.
And just so I'm clear, it was the roommate who didn't like how the Power Ranger treated his girlfriend.
Yes.
Okay. And
Yep.
girlfriend was there during this
And
whole
apparently was so mad about it, he chased him into his room, according to Medina,
Okay.
which is a little, but we'll
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
So it was a single blow. Sutter was stabbed once in the abdomen with the samurai sword.
Wow.
Significant internal bleeding and damage. Sutter did try to leave. So, despite being injured really severely, he managed to leave Medina's bedroom and attempted to flee the residence.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he died, I believe, at the hospital.
Okay, so he was like picked up.
Hmm. Sheriff's deputies arrive at the residence and, they secure the scene. They saw his body. His body must have gone down outside the front door. So I think he was dead when they got there.
Oh.
Obviously, they see a samurai sword
Like
and
sticking
they,
out of him?
no,
Oh.
no, he was not impaled on the samurai sword, just was stabbed by the samurai sword. Can you
Okay.
imagine?
Well, I mean, I don't know. You like stab him and then what if he like runs out?
I mean, that's fair.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think he ran him through. Isn't that what they call it? Like when it's a pirate, like he got run
Oh,
through.
yeah. It didn't go all the way through.
I don't think it did. I
Got
don't,
it.
in fairness, I don't actually know, but I
Okay.
don't think it did.
Mhm.
So they come and they take blood samples and they're trying to look for, sign of a struggle with the door, all of that stuff. So one of the things that I read, and there was some conflicting information, but one of the things that I read was that the door to Medina's bedroom was perfectly intact with no damage to it.
Okay. So the story of he was trying to break in was less believable at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the girlfriend, so it was Josh Sutter's sister, Rachel Kennedy, who made the observation that the bedroom door was
Fine.
intact,
Yeah.
perfectly intact. And she came forward and just said, guys, like that never happened.
Right.
Sutter didn't break in anywhere. So
Right.
Medina's girlfriend, during the preliminary hearing, she's the sole witness. She's the only person besides Sutter and Medina that were in the apartment at the time.
Right.
She testified that she had limited memory of the night. However, she recalled that the argument was about her, that she and Medina retreated to his locked bedroom, and that Sutter broke through the bedroom door. You're going to love this. She described the stabbing as, quote unquote, a poke and didn't
A
believe it would be
poke?
fatal. You
He
cannot poke
poked
someone with a
him.
samurai sword. She
You poked him. And then he died.
just,
Okay.
him, and then he
Okay.
died.
He
Natalie.
poked him and then he died. I don't know what happened.
It feels a little bit weird.
Yeah, great. I don't know either.
So Medina was arrested, charged with murder. The investigation at the scene didn't really back up that it was self-defense, but he
Okay.
kind of maintained that for a while. The media picks it up and they're like, "Oh my God, a Power Ranger killed someone with a samurai sword." So and everybody but Nat heard this story about
Right.
the Power Ranger, right?
Right.
So there were a few things that came up in terms of his mental health during the court-ordered psychological evaluations. And those came into the case, of course.
Okay.
And so one of the things that I wanted to ask is what are some of the things diagnostically that pop up when you think of this situation?
I don't know if I know what you're asking. So, like, are you
Okay.
asking like diagnostically the dude who stabbed him?
Yeah. Not the one who
Well,
got stabbed. He was just an innocent guy who took up for the girlfriend. His
well,
diagnosis
I
is
don't know if
nice
I have
guys
enough.
finish class.
I don't know if I have enough info to diagnose him yet because so far it's that it was self-defense and then there's evidence that it wasn't. So,
First
I
of
mean,
all,
my guess would be is that he just I don't know, he didn't like that the guy was sticking up for his girlfriend.
so if you think about his court-ordered psychological evaluation, so imagine we get a call
Okay.
and somebody's coming in for a mental health evaluation, psychological
Mhm.
evaluation, and what we know about the case is that this individual stabbed their roommate with a samurai sword. What if we had to choose three or
And there's a girl involved too.
yes, but if we know the basics of Gare's gonna kill you. You're either feeding a baby or eating. He's just going to kill you. Take a few bites and then we'll start recording.
No, it's fine. Just keep
I'm
going.
gonna tell Garrett this is an all-nighter. This one's gonna be an all-nighter for sure.
I'm chewing really quietly.
Oh my gosh, no. It makes him nuts. He was like, he's wearing his headphones and he's like, I can hear everything. I was like, because I hear nothing. Even with headphones, I don't hear much.
Here, I'm doing the best I can with what I got.
It's fine. You're doing great.
Our listeners don't give a shit.
Okay. If someone Nat and I've recorded this part 8 times. Okay.
She's like, Natalie,
Air's gonna be in a murderous rage at
stop.
like 2 o'clock in the morning. He's gonna be like, I hate you guys. We're outsourcing. We're gonna pay somebody else to do this.
We
With
might
all the
have
money we
to.
make.
Yeah, with hopefully.
We spend money, we don't make any money.
Exactly.
Okay, so here was my question for you. If we're the evaluators in this case, or even like watching CSI or something, okay?
Yeah.
And the case is somebody stabs his roommate with a samurai sword, and that's all you know. Okay? That's like literally all you know. What are the diagnoses that immediately come up?
I don't know.
I would have so many questions. Are we
Yeah.
delusional?
Right?
Okay, that'd be one of my first ones.
Yeah.
A
Are
samurai
we
is not,
delusional?
not somebody's like first
Are
choice
we having
weapon.
are we delusional or having
We're
hallucinations?
having hallucinations,
Or
right?
people telling you to do these
Do
things?
you remember when I think it was in New York, maybe not, big Apple store? It was an Apple store that was 2 levels. And a guy either had a machete or a samurai sword. I can't remember which one. I'll have to Google it.
Okay.
And he went halfway up the stairs. He was like running up the stairs with a samurai sword. Freaked everybody out. Everybody's terrified. But then, like, security kind of started to close in on him. So he's like on the landing
Oh my
in this
gosh.
like clear staircase in the middle of the store, and everybody's watching him. And he's just swinging around a sword.
Oh gosh.
Wild. But one of the first places my brain would go is probably psychosis
Mm-hmm.
of some sort, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe paranoia, maybe some kind of personality disorder, paranoid personality disorder, maybe something like that with some features of psychosis,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So here are some of the things that came up in his evaluations. There were some distorted perceptions.
Okay.
meaning that he perceived the roommate as a bigger threat than he was for whatever
Mm.
reason, right?
So here's what I wonder. I wonder if because the roommate was so adamant and like um what's the word I'm trying to look for? Like an advocate for his girlfriend.
Yes.
I wonder if there was some paranoia around that, like his feelings towards his girlfriend,
Sure, he might have wondered if they hooked up. And to be fair,
or if he liked her.
or if he liked her or something. And to be fair, not many men, I wish more did, to be frank, not get stabbed by samurai swords, but I wish more men stood up for women
Yeah.
in these situations. But I
Yeah.
think it gets awkward. So it's like you might say something one time,
Yeah.
and then most people kind of let it go, or they just stop being around, move
Hmm.
out, whatever, right?
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
think you're right, Nat. He might have started to suspect that this dude had feelings for his girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, problems with anger management, duh.
Duh.
Intermittent explosive disorder, which I've never fully understood, but it is a disorder. Tendencies towards disproportionate anger and aggression. Personality disorders, right? We talked about that a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, there was some discussion that it might have been difficult to transition from being in the spotlight to then, I mean, he really didn't have a career after that. So that
Mhm.
could be kind of difficult. You know, you have a little bit of
Oh, yeah.
fame, a little success, and then kind of nothing.
It's like the non-Power Ranger Power Ranger situation.
Exactly. Except he was never a star.
He
I don't
was
know
just an extra.
the transition from standing on camera to
He
standing
was
off
a
camera.
kid just standing there.
Just standing there. I don't think that transition was as hard as this.
No. For him it was. For
I
him
mean,
it
all he
was.
did was transition in and out of jail repeatedly.
Yes, he also
That was
transitioned
more.
into being a woman in jail.
Okay, you know what? I'll stand corrected. He did some transitioning just later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm taking a bite, but I'm muting myself.
beautiful. Oh, I also would be thinking to myself, was there substance abuse involved? Right? Listen, people, and I say this with kindness because I have worked with so many people who've used meth, and they're some of my favorite clients ever. They are hilarious.
Oh, 1000%.
They're really fun to work with, especially when they get clean and sober. They have hilarious stories. They're great. The meth underworld is like a whole different animal. So like a samurai sword, that's on
Yeah.
brand for that.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that might wonder about drugs. You know, is there a drug issue going on? There's no
Yeah.
evidence of that at all.
Okay.
So I was kind of expecting when I looked at this case that maybe there'd be a twisty turny legal process, but
Okay.
there wasn't really. So they started the legal proceedings, but they had so much evidence and, you know, witness accounts and all of that. Basically, they decided to go into plea negotiations. So that's where they're deciding what the prosecution will accept. So they
Mm.
make offers, right? The
Yeah.
prosecution makes offers. The defense has the choice, do we accept the offer or do we fight it?
Right.
Where they landed on was one felony count of voluntary manslaughter.
Okay.
So they avoided a murder trial and the risk of a life sentence.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
Because they probably couldn't prove that it was like premeditated or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think it was,
Like crime
honestly.
of passion a little bit.
I think it was a little bit crime of passion. I believe there was an altercation.
Yeah.
I think he was in his right mind for the most part. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think he was having hallucinations and delusions necessarily.
Right,
I
right,
think a samurai sword was what happened to be there.
right.
He may not have meant to kill him, too. It is possible. I mean, he did use a samurai sword, but it is possible that he wasn't trying to actually kill him. He
You know
stabbed
what
him one
though? That
time.
might have been his only form of weapon in his room when he felt threatened.
I think it was maybe the only weapon in the place was the
Yeah.
samurai sword. I don't know that he felt threatened, though. This is the question.
Okay, okay.
I don't know if he did or not. But
Yeah.
anyway, they avoided the murder trial and the risk of a life sentence. One of the things that I read was that the plea likely reflected the complexities of proving intent for murder and the consideration of Medina's psychological state. And Medina fully admitted using the sword in the killings. So, I mean, he wasn't fighting that part. And he called 911. I got to say that too.
Right.
He did call 911. So there's a world in which
He really felt threatened.
he might have felt threatened. I think he knew that he'd really hurt this person.
Hmm.
The fact that he called and admitted it, the nice part of my brain is saying that he wanted to get help for Sutter, like didn't mean to hurt him that bad.
Hmm.
The other part of my brain thinks he was trying to start the narrative that it was self-defense,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Because you call 911, and, oh my God, whatever. Who knows? For sentencing, he was sentenced to guess how many years? For
Um,
voluntary manslaughter.
oh gosh, I don't know. I'm gonna butcher this. 10, 15?
I mean, that's a great guess. It was 6. He was sentenced to a maximum of 6 years.
I was gonna guess 7 at first, but I
Uh-huh.
felt like that was generous.
Well, and also, he didn't spend a ton of time. Okay, so the offense happened. Let me look back up at my notes.
That's really not that much time for killing someone.
It's not. That's the thing that kind of got me a little bit as I'm going, okay, 6 years.
Well, and here's the
6
thing.
years.
I had I have a friend who I was talking to the other day, and I won't use names because I don't have permission to share this, but um I have this friend who got off parole recently,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been, sober, and they just bought their first house. They're doing really awesome. Uh they got sentenced to like 25 years
Mm-hmm.
in prison.
Mm-hmm.
They are actually exactly my age. We have the same birthday.
Was it a drug-related offense?
Yes.
Yep.
And they didn't serve that much time, but they served like 9 years.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, your initial sentencing was like a
Mm-hmm.
murder sentencing
Oh,
for
more than.
drugs.
More than.
More than.
So this is the thing with the war on drugs that's sucky, okay, for lots of reasons. Number one, and you can go on a deep dive on this if you want to check this out because it is fascinating.
Yeah.
But the sentences for cocaine in the late 90s,
Mm.
they treated crack cocaine and powder cocaine different, which is wild. It's the
Yep.
same substance.
Yep.
But what you had with the powder cocaine is a lot of wealthier people, primarily white people. And then you saw crack cocaine more in lower income areas and more in the minority populations. And so
Yep.
the sentences reflect a huge bias in the system. This is why when we talk about systemic racism in the system, that's just it just is there. It's there for a million reasons. It's been there for a very long time. So when you talk about prison reform, one of the things I'm really passionate about is with the war on drugs, we sent people away for
Yep.
decades
Yep.
for marijuana. You
Yep.
and I could go over to, I'm not saying we have, but we could go over to a dispensary, get a couple gummies, have them on our lunch break, go back to work. We're not going to
Right.
get in trouble.
No.
I mean, we're
Well,
therapists.
we would get in trouble if we would,
Well, yeah,
but
you are subject to your employment and that kind of
right.
stuff. But
But
in
it's not
Colorado,
illegal.
it is legal in the state of Colorado to use marijuana.
Exactly.
So it's
Exactly.
wild. If you're on your 37th year of a stint for marijuana possession and distribution, let's say,
Yep.
how are you feeling knowing that people are just sitting around consuming this stuff in cafes together and movie
Yeah.
theaters and it's just crazy.
Well, and that's the kicker. It's the distribution. That's like what really kills
Yes.
people with all that. Yep.
Yes.
But it's hard because it's like when you're in that world, this individual, you would never guess, never in a million years guess that this was their history. But when you're in that world, especially like people who aren't, sorry, I know we're going on such a tangent, but especially the people who aren't like solely dealers, because solely dealers are a
Yeah.
different breed of
Yeah.
human.
Well, and they're not the majority.
They're not the majority, but they're a different breed. There's
Oh
there's
yeah.
more psychopathy, I believe,
Oh yeah.
with the individuals who don't do the drugs and who just deal.
That and gang enforcers have
Exactly.
a dose of psychopathy. Yeah.
Exactly. But I'm looking at someone who's both addicted and selling because they're just trying to
Keep
keep their
using.
habit up,
Yep.
right? Keep their habit up in their addiction.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you shouldn't get 25, you shouldn't get sentenced for
Mm-mm.
25 years. That's insane.
Well, no, and then you look at rape cases and everything else, and it's like you can do a lot of things in this country,
4 years.
and crimes against other people tend to be more lenient than
Yes.
drug charges, and it's just wild.
Well, that's what I was talking about with my friend. Because, I asked, I was like,
Mm,
why did you have to do so long? He said, he was like, well, I made some mistakes and stuff while I was there. And I was like, oh, fighting,
hmm
which was like such kind of a naive thing to say.
Yeah.
But thankfully they are super kind and didn't take it offensive or anything. But he was like, well, yeah, but it wasn't because I started it. He was like, in the prison that I was in, can't remember what he called it, but
hmm
he said, you have to protect yourself. And so I
hmm
got into more trouble because of stuff like that.
Yep.
But I was like, dang, and I was like, and you didn't even have any type of violent crime. There was no violence or threat of violence in his crimes.
No, it makes no sense. And, Kim Kardashian is a hot mess in so many ways.
Sure.
But I'll say this for the girl. She has been fighting back with prison reform, and she's doing a damn fine job
Good.
of bringing some of this to light, bringing some very specific cases, helping to get people out of prison
Yeah.
who were there for drug cases initially. And I,
Good.
I'm fully support that.
I do too. Well, but and to bring it back to what you brought to us today, he gets 6 years
Mhm.
for killing somebody.
Killing someone with a samurai sword.
Like not just like I punched
No,
him really hard in the temple and he went down
no.
and it was a total accident
Yeah,
because we were
that's
fighting.
manslaughter.
Right. But it's like I stabbed someone with a samurai sword
Yes.
and get 6 years. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, no, it's weird. And
It's
obviously,
crazy.
Josh Slutter's family was really incensed by this because that's
Yes.
a nothing sentence for a murder.
Oh, I'd be pissed.
But they looked at the fact that Medina had no prior record. There was the circumstance was, a heated moment and the psychological factors. That's
Hmm.
what they looked at. And so as all of this has rolled on, he ends up getting out in 2020. He only served 3 years of his 6 year sentence, and he was released early, likely due to good behavior and parole eligibility. And he's been having a really private life since then.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So he got out and is now like minding his P's and Q's, basically.
Yeah, he lives kind of a quiet life now.
Well, you know what? That's what you'd hope for.
That is what you would hope for, but you have to wonder, how did they treat him? How did prison make those underlying mental health issues better?
Hmm.
What did his parole look like? What's his ongoing mental health support look like?
Yeah.
Like, I have questions because it's not every day somebody picks up a samurai sword and stabs a roommate.
No. Well, and like, what was he mandated to do while in prison and all that stuff,
Yeah, I just wonder because I think some people really serve their time and they actually get pretty good resources. So in some of our bigger prison systems, I
Yeah.
still think prison's a racket and it develops as much antisocial tendencies in people as it does good. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
But one of the things that they do get in prison, particularly if they have a longer stint, is they get a fair bit of therapy. And so they come out, they're a little institutionalized. They're often very, very respectful.
Hmm.
That's been my experience. We've worked with people who've done time in some of the biggest prisons in the country.
Yeah.
They're well read on a lot of the psychological topics because they
Hmm.
put them in groups
Yep.
and they talk through this stuff. They understand a lot of the content that we teach in our classes.
Yeah.
but with somebody who was in there for 3 years and they clearly had some pretty significant mental health stuff going on, I just have questions about
Yeah.
what that looks
Yeah.
like.
That's valid. I
Hmm.
feel the same way.
So the heart in this one for the roommate in particular, if it's true, and by all accounts, even the girlfriend's account, he
Hmm.
was taken up for her.
Yeah.
That, I mean, that was the deal.
Well, and there's not any other information on the girlfriend.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
No, and I could see a world in which he was just trying to say, be nice to your girlfriend.
Hmm.
I mean, I've said worse things. My gosh. I've been in,
Same. Same. I'm gonna just say the thing that I told you earlier. Oh, I probably shouldn't. I shouldn't say
I've
it.
said worse things to people who are being abusive. Not that I'm
Oh,
abusive.
that's like I've said worse things.
Yeah, you are a whole lot,
I know.
girl.
But it's like pregnant and postpartum.
Pregnant at postpartum, and then at some point I'm gonna be like, Nat, just get it together.
Yeah, we're no longer postpartum.
Nope, it's not
But,
excused
but
anymore.
I will say I've been spicier since pregnancy and postpartum.
You've been spicy.
So I think it'll die down.
It is already dying down a little bit.
I'm
I
hoping
think.
it dies. I have not flipped someone off on the road.
I'm so proud of you.
I know.
I really am proud of you. But
I know.
no, I mean, I think about times in my life, and Tina, this is Tina's favorite thing to do is to stick her nose into something.
Oh yeah, I love Tina.
Can't help but say something. I mean, I've been in situations where a man's like really rude to his
Uh-huh.
partner. I told you about my one friend who made a joke about her husband, and she said, if you ever see him with a black eye, I'm dead.
Oh yes.
And he was pretty rude to her, to be honest.
I
Like, it
remember
wasn't
you telling me about
great.
that. Yeah.
I got involved because I always get involved. I put glitter on his hunting dog. Anyway, it just was, it was a whole thing. But
That's funny.
honestly, it does make me think a little bit. And I've said this before, see something, say something, but you do have to be a little bit careful how much you put yourself in the middle of something.
Mhm.
So if you see a DV situation going on, like in a Walmart parking lot, I hate Walmart so much, so we'll just call it a Walmart parking lot.
Mhm.
If you see something go down there, you really don't want to put yourself in the middle. I do think people get hurt when they
Yeah.
do that sometimes, but there's a lot of ways to intervene. Go tell somebody in the store. You can always call 911. You can even follow them if you need to. That's my move. Follow them in your car. Oh my gosh. So anyway, that's the heart for this case.
I
Well,
feel like here's the thing. I feel like it's unfinished
it is unfinished.
because I feel we didn't get the actual story.
Well, I don't know background and I don't know current status.
Well, no, I'm not saying you didn't give us a story. I'm saying we don't know the real reason as to why.
Mm-mm.
And that's frustrating. I don't love that.
No, I think they just had a fight. I think they had a big old brewing fight, and
And he got mad.
Medina got big mad and grabbed a samurai sword.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, though, I'm saying about like getting in the middle of stuff or when things are escalating. We know the more upset we get, the deeper into our brain we're having activity, we're having less prefrontal cortex activity.
Yeah.
Our decisions get worse and worse.
Yeah.
And that's not a great place to be in when you're trying to navigate conflict. That's why we need to get out of there, have timeouts, that kind of stuff. We can't let things get big because it's going to get worse and worse.
Well, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And even what I said, like about not feeling like we don't have the full story or the real story, that's the heart piece for me is like
Mhm.
for the victim, the
Yeah.
family, the family doesn't have the story as to what actually happened and why they
Mm-mm.
lost their family member, you know?
No, and it feels pretty senseless.
Yeah. It's
You
like
know,
we don't know the real reason as to why this all happened.
no, and it could have been avoided in 1 million ways.
Yeah.
One of which is just you stop living together.
Yeah.
Lots of roommates break up, man. You don't need to grab a samurai sword.
Right. Just say, "Hey man, this isn't working."
This isn't working, you know?
Yeah.
So
What is like random question? What is your worst roommate story?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know if I could share it on here. I have a few really bad ones, but I'm pretty
You looked
sure
so surprised when I just said that.
I was. Well, because it's like, first of all, everybody has a roommate story. I don't know anyone who doesn't.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, mine, this person wouldn't mind me sharing. We're friends still. I think she's amazing and I love her so much. But we went through a moment with one of our roommates, and I don't even know, to be frank, how it all got so sideways. But you know how girls sometimes they get mad at each other and it gets weird and passive aggressive, and then they just like stop talking, and
That
then it's
sucks.
just so weird.
Oh my God, yes.
So I'm home one day, and this person decided to move out. And I was home. I was working at Nordstrom Rack that summer. And so I was home like on my lunch break
Mm-hmm.
in the apartments. You know, the apartments by the Chick-fil-A?
Yes.
You had your thing? That's
Yeah, where I had my talk.
that's where I was living. Me and everybody else that goes to Boulder. So I live there, and I'm there, and all of a sudden there's a knock. There's a knock at the door, and it's her dad.
Oh gosh.
And he comes in and he's loading up furniture, which we knew. We knew that they were going to pick up some furniture. Well, we had gotten some of our furniture for free from her dad because he worked in like the furniture realm for like office furniture and stuff. So I had a desk chair he'd given to me, like basically for free. He just like gave it to me. He took the chair I was sitting on.
No, no, he didn't. What?
Just so petty AF. And then, and it's a grown ass man, grown man. I'm like, really, dude, you can't like leave. It was also my birthday. It was
Oh,
my
no, no.
birthday.
So wait, he gave you a chair and then took it back?
Took it back.
Oh, I cannot with
And
that.
it's a grown man. She's not even there. My roommate is not even there. The dad just came to pick up some furniture.
Well, she wasn't mad at you.
No. Well,
Oh, okay. Well,
it was
never
one of
mind.
those girl things. I don't even know. Couldn't even
Okay.
tell you, to be
That's
honest.
fair. Yeah, yeah,
But the other thing that was hysterical is they took the couch, the only couch in the apartment, which I knew was going to happen. We knew that. That was okay.
yeah.
But
Okay.
we didn't really have a plan, and we hadn't really thought about it. So we get home from work and we're like, we have nowhere to sit. I mean, it's literally like that we have nothing to sit on. So my parents brought up, these are legendary in our family.
Okay.
There's this cream leather couch, like there's a sofa love seat and two big armchairs with ottomans.
Okay.
These things have been in every house, every apartment, every
I
which
love that.
way. It's incredible. We've all used them. I still have them.
That's our dining room table that
Yes,
we
but
currently
they're all
have.
split.
It's been everywhere.
It's been everywhere. And
Yep.
my parents brought up two of the chairs.
Oh,
So
wow.
we had like Chandler and Joey chairs.
I
And we
love
would
that.
just sit, we each had a chair and we would just sit there and
I
eat our
love
dinner.
that.
I know
It's
we did that
great.
until my roommate then bought a couch. And then she had that couch for almost 20 years, I think. It
Wow.
was wild.
There you go.
What about you? What's your weirdest roommate
Well,
one?
I was trying to think. I have a few. I will say, I'm going to throw myself under the bus first before I throw anyone else under the bus.
Yes.
I have in my time, especially my sophomore year when I had a really hard time, like when I went through my whole thing that I already talked about in our closure episode,
Yeah.
when I was like going through my depression or whatever, I was a nightmare roommate, I'm sure, like during that
Mhm.
time. So I'm gonna just say that. Like I've
Yes.
been the nightmare.
We've
Okay.
all had a nightmare roommate. We've all been a nightmare roommate,
Yes,
depending
yes,
on which side of the coin we're on.
yes. And I'm
Yeah.
thankful that my that Sarah is still one of my best friends
Oh,
after
yeah.
the year. So I'm gonna just say that, okay? So I've
Totally.
been the nightmare, but so Sarah and I lived together. So my first year, I'm gonna just share my quick roommate story. So my first year is Jessica and I, we lived together.
Yes.
Jess and I are too similar to live together.
Yes.
We probably could figure it out now that we're
Yeah.
older, but when we were younger, we could not figure it out.
No.
It was not great for us, but it didn't like ruin our friendship. But
Mm-mm.
we learned like that probably wasn't the best situation. So then when I moved to Boulder, I lived with Sarah and this other girl, our first like our sophomore year, but my first year in Boulder,
Oh, yeah.
right? And I didn't have a hard time with her at all. I think her and Sarah, because they were like freshman roommates,
Yeah.
things got kind of weird between them that
Yeah.
year. So then Sarah and I just lived together for 2 years, just the two of us, and it was great.
Oh, yeah.
We had a great time. We lived in this cute little apartment. We had a pool. It was great.
Yeah.
Our last year at Boulder, so it was like my victory year, right?
Yeah.
Fifth year. And
Yeah.
I can't remember if Sarah did an extra semester. I can't remember, but she lived there with us.
Yeah.
I think she did. I can't remember. Anyway, but she lived there. It was my victory year. And we lived we lived with these two other girls who were my friends. Well, one
Yeah.
of them was my friend, I should say. The other girl I didn't really know. And
Okay.
Sarah didn't know her either. Sarah knew my friend and was like, "Yeah, like she's super chill. Like I'll live with her." And
Yeah.
we lived in do you remember those Chinese restaurant looking apartments
Yep.
over off on the other side or more by the engineering side?
Yep.
Okay. So we lived in those our
Yeah,
last year.
those were by the Red Robin I worked at.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
used to walk by those at 11 o'clock at night after my closing shift.
Yes.
Mhm.
So we lived over there and there was four of us. Okay. So my friend who had asked us to live with her, and I was like, you know what, that could be fun. Like, whatever,
Sure.
ever. And then she was like, I'm gonna invite this other girl to live with us too. And I was like, cool, cool, cool.
Hmm.
Well, they end up hating each other.
Oh, no. Those two?
Those two.
Oh, no.
So the girl who invited the other girl to live with us hated each other. And they were like really good friends before.
And you and Sarah are established friend roommates. You're fine.
We're good.
Yeah. Oh,
So
no.
we end up being like these middleman
Oh,
roommates.
no.
And
Did
they
you
like,
guys share a room?
no,
You
no
and
one shared a
Sarah?
room. No, no one shared a room.
Because in our apartment, we had a gorgeous apartment, but we had 2 rooms, 2 bathrooms.
Oh yeah,
So it
no.
was big and really nice, but like we had to double up in the rooms.
Yeah, no, we didn't have, none of us shared a room. We had
Oh,
four
so you
rooms
had 4 bedrooms? That's nice.
in an apartment. Yeah, I had a tiny ass room.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I had the big room with just Sarah. When Sarah and I lived together, I had the bigger room.
Yeah.
So I gave Sarah the bigger room.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they hate each other.
Oh,
Okay. And so
no.
Sarah and I are like these middleman
Yeah.
people. And I'm like, this is so awkward.
You're
And
Switzerland.
also like everyone has their living, I don't know, weirdness things.
Oh, quirks. Roommate.
Quirks.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
We all had our living quirks.
Yeah.
So Sarah would not talk to people before a certain time in the morning because she needed a coffee. She's not a morning person.
Understood.
I knew this about her.
Of course.
Right. So like I knew I don't take anything
Our
personal.
friend Lori is this way too.
Yes. I
Yes.
don't take anything personal. I don't try
No.
to talk. I don't try to have a conversation with her. I say good
Oh,
morning. It's about as far as I'd go with her in the morning.
absolutely.
Right. Well, one of the other roommates, the one who didn't know us very well,
Yeah.
would get super offended by
Oh.
Sarah. And here's the shitty thing is they would all come complain to me.
Oh, no.
So and I knew it, they'd all come in, like not all of them at one time, but each of them at their own time would come in and shut the door. And I'd literally be like, oh, here we go.
Oh,
They're
no.
about to talk about one of the other girls here.
Oh,
Oh, it was a whole thing. Well, one time Sarah and I were always like such goofballs.
no.
So, so at one point, I have Sarah on my shoulders and we're walking around the apartment.
That makes sense.
I know.
That makes sense.
So we're walking around the apartment. It's a whole thing. Then we get into like this mini water fight in the apartment. It wasn't like we were like spraying the whole
No,
apartment.
but that's just good, stupid fun.
We were just having fun.
Yeah.
So I'm standing there and Sarah has this cup of water. This other roommate, and I'm not saying names, but one of the roommates who didn't know us very well at the beginning,
Yeah.
right? The one who got invited in by the other girl,
Right.
is standing behind me. Okay. And well, no, wait, hold on. No, standing behind Sarah. It was me.
You had the cup of water?
I had the cup of water. And so Sarah looks at me, she's like, don't you dare. And I do this. And
Oh,
I
no.
and I didn't have much water in there. It wasn't like a full
Sure.
cup, it was less than half a cup of water.
Sure.
And I get Sarah, okay,
Right.
and this other girl scolds me, and is like, Natalie, like yells
Oh, no. Your whole
I-
name?
my whole name.
That's how you know you're in trouble.
She's like, Natalie, I'm holding my computer. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, it didn't even hit you. And she's like, I know, but whatever. You still could have gotten me. And I was like, okay. And then she goes, and my socks are wet. And I was like, and we're standing right in front of the washer. And I'm such an asshole. I was like, you can wash them and dry them right there.
Oh, your face.
I was like, girl,
No, no,
your
no,
socks, I'm sorry.
no.
That was like it wasn't like a big drama. It wasn't like a one incident thing, but it was like a whole year of just drama.
Just chaos.
Yeah. And they wouldn't talk. The other two wouldn't talk.
Oh no.
It was just a whole thing.
I'm just sitting here remembering so many things that I can't talk about because
Like the drama. I don't think either
my
one of those
roommate
girls
that
listened
I
to this.
started out at college with, and it just went terribly wrong. You
Yeah.
know?
Things just don't always work out.
Well, and everybody has a different flashpoint. And some people are just wound tight and they get mad real easy.
Yeah.
Some people, and I think this is more me and you, you're probably more in the middle. I'm a little bit more like it takes a lot. But
Yeah.
then when I'm mad forever and
Yeah.
every single thing will offend me for months.
Yes. Yes.
Like it's just real bad,
I
but
hope I never get there with you.
you won't.
Okay.
I know we have so much like grace and like the bank account's so good between
Well,
us
and we're accountable.
emotionally. And we're accountable.
Like when I screw up, like this isn't really an offense to you, but
Mm-mm.
because you helped me, it feels maybe kind of like an offense with my applications that I totally just didn't do, and
Oh
now
my
I
God. I know. You're
do
so
them.
girl.
But I'm accountable.
You're accountable. Also, that doesn't make me mad. What makes me mad, I think, is if people mistake my kindness for weakness
That's
and
fair.
then cash in on it
Yeah.
and like jump up and down on me for a while. And then
Yeah.
eventually I'm going to stand up and be like,
Let's go.
you don't know who you're talking to. You
Right.
really don't. Like
Right.
I haven't showed this to you. It's like when one of our former coworkers who probably listens, so hey girl, called me a cupcake. And I was like,
Oh, she doesn't listen.
you just don't know yet. You
Yeah.
just don't know. And that's okay. Because I am a very nice person. It's just don't run me over 800 times because the 801st, I'm going to burn it down
Yeah.
all the way down
Absolutely.
over and over,
Yep.
you know? But yeah, I mean, it's funny how we can have roommates and people in our life who are just easy. This is
Yep.
what's funny about me and you. We're similar, but we're not the same, but we're pretty
Mm-hmm.
independent.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of fun together. I don't get tired of you, and we don't have drama. We've never had drama.
Yeah,
We
we don't
will
have
never have
drama.
drama, partially because
No.
we're both accountable.
Yeah.
We have a sense of humor about ourselves. We don't take
Well,
ourselves too seriously.
and when we see the drama, yeah. It's not like it's not like we're sitting here asking ourselves, am I the drama?
No.
You know?
I'm probably going to assume I am and work on my side of things first. And then
Same.
if it goes beyond that, then we just talk about it. But it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be that ridiculous.
No.
Also, I don't think you and I enjoy that. Some people really just live for that.
Yeah, it stresses me out.
Ooh, I hate it. Life's too hard outside of our people to
I
have
know.
hard things with our people.
Well, that's what sounds like happened with these two roommates is like the drama just got really loud.
It got loud. It got loud. And you may have had diminished self-awareness on Medina's part. You may have had some power and control.
Absolutely.
You had some stuff going on there, but yeah. So that is the real Power Ranger story.
Yes.
History all in one fun episode.
I love it.
No samurai swords to be found.
For you?
Yeah, I don't have a samurai sword. Are you kidding me?
I know you don't.
I really don't. I don't have any of those things. Can you imagine?
I don't either.
But we all know like those guys who are like into that stuff though.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's
Mm-hmm.
just not a guy that I would be with. I don't know any girls with samurai swords on their walls.
No.
Do you?
No.
Uh-uh. We don't usually like display weaponry in our house. Thank you guys for joining today. Please, please, please follow us. Tell your friends.
Oh, and we would love to know what your nightmare of a roommate story is.
Oh my gosh, tell us your worst
Go comment on
roommate story. And if you are one of our former roommates, We're sorry.
We love you. I'm sorry.
We love you. We're sorry.
It's fine.
It's fine. We're all adults now. Let's see. What else do we want to tell them? Check out Comfort. They launched pinks.
Oh my God, their pinks are
They're
so pretty.
killing me.
I can't, I'm like, I can't look. I can't go look.
No, no, I can't either. Well, but I saw the range of pinks because it came to my
I
email,
know. It's
and there's
so
like a
pretty.
light pink, kind of
A,
a gorgeous, like medium, like
there's like a
sorbet pink,
bright pink. Yeah.
and then there's a hot pink.
Yeah.
So
No, they're all pretty.
check them out. They're coming out with a new line too that looks really. It's like the oh, what's the one? The affirmation line. It's going to be kind of like that.
Okay. They need to do like a summer thing.
Well, they did. Okay, so when I was at the retreat, you weren't there because baby.
Yeah.
Everyone started shopping all the things. They
Love
got
it.
it on our website, they got on Comfort.
Love
So
this.
there's a few people who are like having babies or whatever. They're in like stages of life where they
Mhm.
needed some comfy stuff. And they bought the lightweight, like waffly ones.
Oh, yeah.
And those look really
Thought
good.
about getting those. Yeah.
I know. Garrett's gonna murder me if I get anything.
Oh, I can't.
I'm gonna wait for the hot pink straight leg. That's what I'm waiting for. The minute those hot pink straight leg ones come out, I'm buying them.
You have to.
But I'm gonna wait for that.
Okay.
You know me, I'm an apple on two sticks. I gotta wait for the right shape, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna wait for
Yeah,
that.
I like the cuffed ankle. I just have too many pairs.
I know, same. Same.
So I bought the pink, so now I cannot justify buying another pink set.
Gift the pink and then get a new pink.
I don't hate this idea, but I've already gifted a set.
So what? Find new people, split the set.
No,
Right? You can do that.
you gotta give the whole set. If you're gonna gift it, gift it.
I know. I'm giving my mom a set tomorrow.
Oh,
I know. It's my little Mother's Day gift. I'm giving her a set.
aw.
But yeah, check out Comfort, www.comfort.com/forensic15. That gets you
Mhm.
15% off. It also helps support the podcast. And check
Yes.
out forensicfriday.com. We have unhinged merch,
I have my bright pink hat that
your
I
bright
love.
pink hat. There's
My
all kinds of
shirt.
stuff on there. So check it out. And we'll see you next time. As always,
Bye, forensic friends.
I'm Jeannine.
And I'm Nat.
And as always, thanks for listening and join us next week for more crime, psychology, and heart.